Hey, Shalom, Israel, Brother Reggie Jr. here. So today, guys, I'm going to be reading Deuteronomy chapter 25, or at least starting with Deuteronomy chapter 25, just picking up where I left off from last time. And for the most part, guys, I'm pretty much just going to be reading all the way through, just because a lot of these scriptures are self-explanatory, so I don't feel like there's a need for me to interject a lot. So with that being said, guys, we're going to go ahead and get right into this Deuteronomy chapter 25. In verse 1, and it says, if there be a controversy between men, and they come unto the judgment, that the judges may judge them, then they, meaning the judges, shall justify the righteous and condemn the wicked. So you're not going to be doing any justifying and condemning based off a person's social status, based off of your personal feelings of the people in question, or based off of how much money the person got. We're not doing it anyway. The Lord say, it don't matter if it's a rich man. If he's guilty, he guilty. If he's innocent, he innocent. If a poor man is guilty, he's guilty. If a poor man is innocent, he is innocent. See, God don't play the discrimination game. And that's what they do here in Babylon. If you got money, you're above the law, but not according to the Most High. I don't give a damn if you got money or not. You guilty, I'm going to split your wig. And that's why the Lord passing judgment on people out here, because, see, people out here give people passes. Well, he's rich or he's famous, he's well known, so we're going to give him a pass. But it don't matter, because the Lord's still going to get vengeance. When man don't judge, the Lord do it in their place. I'm going to get this person. But what is the Lord pretty much saying there? Hey, judge righteous judgment. Okay, let's keep going. Verse 2. And it says, well, let's go real quick to Proverbs 17. I want to see if I want to read something real quick. Proverbs 17. See if I want to read something I had real quick. Okay, nah, we're going to keep reading, y'all. Let's keep going. Verse 2, it says, and it shall be, if the wicked man be worthy to be beaten, that the judge shall cause him to lie down, and to be beaten before his face according to his fault by a certain number. 40 stripes he may give him, and not exceed, lest, if he should exceed and beat him above these with many stripes, then thy brother should seem vile unto thee, not to mention it's embarrassing. Verse 2, it says, thou shalt not muzzle the ox when he treadeth out the corn. Okay, you're going to allow your ox to eat while you tread not the corn. And see, brothers and sisters, a righteous man and a righteous woman, they consider the life of their beast. Okay, they have compassion and mercy even on animals. They show love even to animals. God's people are tender, compassionate, merciful. But it ain't so with the wicked. The wicked kick their animal, beat them, do all kind of crazy stuff. It's just an animal anyway. But see, the righteous, they don't think that way. The righteous, we are harmless, brothers and sisters, full of mercy and compassion, tender and delicate. Let's go real quick to I think it's Proverbs 10 or something like that, 10 or 17. Let me see. Yeah, Proverbs 12 and verse 10, and it says, a righteous man or woman regardeth or considereth the life of his beast, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. So we see, brothers and sisters, that the righteous man and the righteous woman, we're tender, we're delicate, harmless to all creation. We treat everybody right. We even treat the animals right. Okay, But let's keep going. Verse 5. If brethren dwell together, and one of them die, and have no child. Okay, so we're getting into the law of the kinsman redeemer. Verse 5, it says, if brethren dwell together, and one of them die, and have no child, the wife of the dead shall not marry without unto a stranger. And in this case, stranger is talking about she's not going to get married to another Israelite. Even though that other person would be an Israelite, the Lord say, she ain't gonna marry into that Israelite, to that other Israelite, an outside Israelite. It says her husband's brother. Okay, so we're keeping it in the family. It says her husband's brother shall go in unto her. So this woman's this woman's husband who died, his brother is gonna go in unto her and take her to him to wife, and perform the duty of an husband's brother unto her. So I believe that's the law of the kinsman redeemer. But what was the purpose of this? So you can have well, I ain't even gonna say it because I don't want to go there. But what was the purpose of the law of the kinsman redeemer? Well, verse 6, and it shall be that the firstborn which she beareth shall succeed in the name of his brother which is dead, that his name be not put out of Israel. So the Lord is going to see that firstborn son as the brother that died as his literal biological son. And a lot of people say, oh man, well, how can that be when his brother is the one that went in her? Because God said so, you idiot. What God say, go. All you need to do is believe, and that's the problem, brothers and sisters. We don't believe. I believe, hey, if my brother died and I had to go into my wife and, hey, fulfilling the law of the kinsman redeemer, hey, that firstborn son, hey, it belonged to my dead brother, hey, biological son. Guess what? Hey, it is what it is. Meaning, I believe it. What I'm saying here, brothers and sisters, is that we always are questioning God. How can this be? And, how is that so when this person did that or that person did it? Listen, stop trying to figure stuff out and just believe. That's all I'm trying to say, okay? But concerning this law of the kinsman redeemer, I know the Sadducees, they tried to catch Jesus up when it came to this law right here, because they was always trying to find a way, because they hated Jesus so much. They was trying to find ways to catch him up in his words. Okay, so we see the law of the kinsman redeemer, it popped back up in the New Testament. So we're going to go to Matthew 22, and we're going to see these Sadducees. They're going to tempt the Lord. And let me tell you why they were tempting the Lord. They were tempting the Lord. And then the first and foremost thing was because they were full of hatred. They hated Jesus. They hated their brother in their heart. But it came out in the form of these masked questions. But really, they was trying to find fault with Jesus so they can destroy him because they hated him. And the second thing with the Sadducees is they didn't believe in the resurrection. And so they knew Jesus taught the resurrection. So they tried to find ways to entrap Christ. But Christ, boy, he didn't play. The Lord was sharp. So let's go ahead and go to Matthew 22. And I'm going to read we're going to just go ahead and start with verse 23. And it says, the same day came to him, meaning Jesus, the Sadducees, which say that there is no resurrection, and asked him. So we see that the Sadducees, they didn't believe in a resurrection. Okay, so the two things, they hated Jesus, okay, hated their brother in their heart, and they did not believe in the resurrection. So they were trying to find a way to catch Jesus up in something. Okay, it'll be two birds with one stone. We find fault in him, meaning we can now destroy him. And the second thing is now we can sit back and feel good because now we know, since we proved him wrong, ain't no resurrection, but Jesus was on their behind. So these Sadducees came, verse 24, and it says, they asked, saying, Master, Moses said, and that's what these brothers and sisters, they still do that right there. Moses said, but it ain't about Moses, brother and sister. It's about Jesus now. Moses was that old prophet, but we got a new one on the scene. See, we got Jesus now. Moses said, if a man die having no children, his brother shall marry his wife and raise up seed unto his brother. Okay, and that's just what we read, the law that kinsman redeemer, 25. Now, there were with us 7 brethren. Okay, so now they're giving a scenario. It says in the first, when he had married a wife, deceased, meaning he died, and having no issue, he left his wife unto his brother. Okay, likewise the second also, and the third, and the seventh, and unto the seventh. Okay, so he's making the point. It says, and last of all, the woman died also. Okay, so here they gonna come up. Here they come with their deceitfulness. They said, 28. Therefore, Jesus, in the resurrection, because you claim there's a resurrection, because this is what they were saying. In the resurrection, whose wife shall she be of the 7? Meaning when they resurrect, because you say it was a resurrection, Jesus, when they resurrect, who wife she gonna be? Don't know, because because they said for they all had her. So what? She gonna be all their wives? Well, watch what the Lord say. 29. Jesus answered and said unto them. Okay. And now this is something Moses didn't give them. Jesus is going to give them some insight into something, because see, they think they're so smart. Jesus answered and said unto them, you do err, not knowing the scriptures, nor what? The power of God. 30. For in the resurrection, because remember, Jesus is the resurrection. See, Moses, hey, he wasn't the resurrection. He couldn't tell y'all this, but Jesus can, because you know why? Jesus is the resurrection. And he telling these men, I'm telling you, you ain't dealing with no man. You dealing with me. And I'm telling you, for in the resurrection, they neither marry, to my men and women, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels of God in heaven. So all of that having sex and getting married, all that stuff don't go on up there. When it comes to the angel and all stuff, that stuff don't go on. What he's saying in the resurrection, that's just how it's gonna be. Ain't gonna be no more of that stuff is reserved for the flesh age. The age of flesh, men and women, that's stuff that they do. But he's saying, listen, when we get resurrected, and we know about the resurrection, we're going to get glorified bodies, brothers and sisters. What he telling you, them glorified bodies, you ain't going to be doing all of that stuff. That stuff flesh, men, and women do. Ain't going to be no more of that. And then 31, he says, but as touching the resurrection of the dead, have ye not read that which was spoken unto you by God, saying, I am the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Now, how can he be their God if they're dead? If they're dead, he's no longer their God, because they're dead. They don't know nothing. They're gone. Which is what Jesus is making the point. That's why he's saying this. He says, God is not the God of the dead, but of the living. And then 33, it says, and when the multitude heard this, it says they were astonished at his doctrine. See, because they ain't never heard that before. See, they didn't get that under Moses, but under Christ, he showed them that he showed them and told them about that resurrection, left their mouth open. And see, them Sadducees thought they were smart. But Jesus, he met them right where they was at. They couldn't believe it. Oh, man. But anyway, guys, we're going to go ahead and go back to Deuteronomy 25. And I'm going to read, start back in verse 7. And it says, and if the man like not to take his brother's wife, then let his brother's wife go up to the gate unto the elders, meaning he don't want to take his brother's wife to raise up seed to his brother. It said a wife can go up to the gate of the elders and say, my husband's brother refuses to raise up unto his brother a name in Israel, because this was a shameful thing. And see, we don't understand any of this stuff because we're in the West. And so we don't understand anything about nationhood, godhood. So stuff like this is weird. What? Raise up seed to your brother? These customs seem awkward to us. And the women see this stuff too as being oppressive. This is so evil. But see, they don't understand. They've been westernized. And they don't understand that this Western doctrine in them is actually what is evil. And that's why when our people, not just the women, but the men too, that's why when they open up this Bible and they're seeing all of these different things that our ancestors used to do concerning nationhood, it seemed like a strange thing to them. And it definitely doesn't help that we're not a nation right now. We're scattered. So we really don't understand a lot of this stuff like the kinsman redeemer and all of that, which a lot of this is tied to the land, but we're not in the land, brothers and sisters. So we don't do a lot of this stuff. But that's neither here nor there. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep reading. Verse 8, it says, then the elders of the city shall call him. So the brother that died, they're going to call his brother and speak unto him. And if he stand to do it and say, I like not to take her, then shall his brother's wife come unto him in the presence of the elders. Excuse me, I went to bed late last night. It says, then shall his brother's wife come unto him in the presence of the elders, and loose his shoe from off his foot, and spit in his face, and shall answer and say, so shall it be done unto that man that will not build up his brother's house. And we've seen that law of the kinsman, the law of the kinsman redeemer with the Israelite Ruth. Okay, verse 10, it says, and his name shall be called in Israel the house of him that have his shoe loose. Okay. So he will forever have a mar on his name in Israel. Verse 11. When men strive together, one with another, meaning they start fighting. You know how men get. Men start swinging, ducking, dodging, swinging. It says, and the wife of the one, okay, draweth near for to deliver her husband. And we actually seen this, two men fighting, and one of the men girl come and try to save the dude. It says, and putteth her hand. Let me reread that because I'm way off. Verse 11. When men strive together one with another, and the wife of the one, and the wife of the one draweth near for to deliver her husband out of the hand of him that smiteth him, and putteth forth her hand, and taketh him by the secret. So the two men fighting, and one of the men to deliver her husband, she go to the other man and basically grab his balls and basically squeeze. Well, the Lord says judgment for that. Verse 12, it says, then thou shalt cut off her hand, thine eye shall not pity her. See, because especially when it come to Israelite men, when you talking about touching their balls and stuff like that, now you're getting into the territory of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Now you're talking about cutting off the seed of Israel. Now you're talking about stopping the sons and daughters of God coming through in this earth. So God got to deal with you. So the Lord said, that woman, put her damn hand on that table or wherever you got to put it. Get you a big machete. Get you a giant knife, whatever you got, axe. It don't matter what you got to get. Hacksaw. And you going to chop her hand right off. Because the Lord, man, you got to understand, you talking about dealing with seed. So the Lord, he not playing that stuff. Verse 13. Let's keep going. It says, thou shalt not have in thy bag divers weights, a great and a small. And divers weights is basically to deceive someone into paying more. It's to deceive somebody into paying more for something. Let me see how I want to say this, because I feel like I'm saying it right. I'm just second guessing myself. So basically, them weights were basically to falsify the balances. So you know that the piece of bread only costs what? Let's just say $1. Well, you got false balances. So that way, you know it's $1, but you got them false balances. So you can make it weigh $3. So not only did you make money, you made more than what it was actually worth. And they falsifying the heck out of balances here in Babylon. Got us paying crazy amounts of money for stuff we know ain't worth what they saying it is. And I know because I could just go back 10, 15 years ago, and those prices are half what they are today. And even further back than that, the prices were half what they were 10 and 15 years ago. That's how you know somebody falsifying some balances. Well, the Lord got something to say about that. Proverbs 11. So the Lord letting you know, man, he don't like that deceitfulness. That drive the Lord up the wall. He do not like that. So let me see what I'm looking for. Let me see. Hand going hand. That ain't what I'm looking for. What am I looking for? Okay, here we go. Proverbs 11:1. And it says, a false balance is abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. And we know here in Babylon, like I told you, it's a lot of false balances here. And didn't the Lord say with Babylon, they work many abominations? Well, that's one of them, false balances. So just know that stuff we paying at the store, stuff we're paying for gas, and all this stuff we're paying for bills and all stuff, all of that is false balances, brothers and sisters. False balances. Because you got some rich, greedy ass men and women who want more and more sustenance. They're not content. They just want more. So it's a shameful thing, but you know the Lord gonna get everybody who doing evil. That's why the Lord said, hey, at the end of the day, save yourself, brothers and sisters. That's what it comes down to. Because I see all of the evil that's going on out here. You see the evil going on in Israel, but at the end of the day, I make sure I'm right. I make sure that I'm not committing these abominations. Because the Lord, listen, we think he's playing. That judgment is going to go forth. And when it does, everybody that has been doing evil is going to get got. You will not be able to escape, and you will not be able to hide in that day. But let's keep going. Verse 15, and it says, But thou shalt have a perfect and just weight. Let's see that the Lord loves righteousness. A perfect and a just measure shalt thou have. that thy days may be lengthened in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. So that's even tied to how long you live. Now we know this was talking about, Israel and being in the land a long time and in their life too. But seriously, this affects your lifespan. And see, this is why today people are dying so, I ain't never seen this many people dying like this. But you can't do this evil, brothers and sisters, and don't think that God is not going to cut down on your lifespan. Because see, the way I see it is every time you doing some evil, the Lord just cutting your lifespan. 2 months, 5 months, a year. Now I'm cutting off 10 years, 15. And that's why you see people dropping. Because people are ignorant and don't have any fear of God. And this is how you know, especially Israel, this is how you know they ain't got no fear. Is they doing any and everything that piss God off. And so the Lord laying them out like school clothes. And here shortly, the Lord going to raise up some great oppression to Israel. And they going to holler in that day. See, right now, Israel ain't worried about it because they getting to go where they want to go. Eating what they want to eat, drinking what they want to drink. But the day coming, brothers and sisters, the Lord going to cut all that off. And they're going to have to deal with this God that they've been running from for these past few decades. Don't let Israel fool you. I don't care if it's the boule Negroes or if it's the Negroes in the street. Hey, listen, they know who this God is. And they do the stuff they do to try to forget and put him in the back of their mind, put him away. They know about this God. We seen that in Judges. Israel was doing all of that evil, and God raised up. I forgot, was it the Philistines? I can't remember who he raised. It was the Philistines or the Ammonites or something like that. But they oppressed Israel so much that Israel willingly put away the false gods. They put away all of the things that offended the Lord. So that way the Lord could help them. So Israel know they be doing evil. So don't act like they're innocent, brothers and sisters. These people know. And for you Israelites that's doing what the Lord say, you're being obedient, you got faith in Christ, hey, keep doing what you're doing. The Lord see you. And in the day of wrath, the day of judgment, the Lord is going to spare you. You ain't got nothing to worry about. Even now on the news, you start hearing horrific stuff that's going on out here in this world and stuff to come on this earth. Listen, you ain't got to be scared because you know, hey, you sealed. You ain't got to worry about nothing. Now you still pray, Lord, keep me, take care of me in the times, but you know that the Lord got you. You ain't got nothing to worry about. But these wicked, they got something to worry about. That's why they heart is fearful for the things that they see coming on this earth. They're scared and they better be scared. They got every reason to be. Okay. But let's keep going. Verse 16. For all that do such things. Okay, so he talking about them false balances and stuff. He says, for all that do such things, meaning stuff like them false balances and other things, other means of exploitation. He says, and all that do unrighteously are an abomination unto the Lord thy God. And I like that he had said such things because some people doing evil, but they'll say, yeah, but I'm not falsifying the balances. I'm not falsifying the weights. But that's why he said such things with an S. You may not be doing that exact thing, but you're doing other stuff that's on the same level as that. He said, hey, you an abomination too. So ain't nobody getting by, brothers and sisters. Verse 17. And it says, so the Lord tells Israel, he says, remember what Amalek did unto thee by the way, when you were come forth out of Egypt. Because remember, they attacked Israel. Verse 18, how they met thee by the way, and smote the hindermost of thee, even all that were feeble behind thee, when thou wast faint and weary, and he feared not God. 19, therefore it shall be, when the Lord thy God have given thee rest from all thine enemies round about. Now we had read how Amalek was utterly destroyed, right? So you would think all the Amalekites gone, right? You would think, oh, they're completely extinct. Because the people, they'll go back and read about Israel destroyed Amalek. See, ain't no more Amalekites on the earth. They've all been destroyed, brothers and sisters. And you actually got brothers that believe that to this day. You got brothers that really believe all of Amalek is literally gone. Like no longer, there's not a single seed of Amalek on this earth, but yet God is mentioning them right here. That means Amalek's still alive, brothers and sisters. He just meant at that time they were destroyed, but they were still here. So he said, listen, I want y'all to remember Amalek. I got a command for y'all because they attacked y'all. When you was faint, weary, you was hungry, came out of Egypt, they attacked y'all. Hey, he said, when I give you rest round about from all your enemies, what? In the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance to possess it, that thou shalt blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven, and thou shalt not forget it. You know what that means? Hey, you're not gonna ever deal with Amalek. You're not gonna seek their prosperity. You're not gonna do none of that mess. And he say that because sometimes we forget. Time go by and you forget that these people that so-called your friend now in the past, they were your enemies. Well, God, he don't play them games. He like, listen, remember these people. Remember how evil they did, y'all. You know, Amalek was of Esau. He said, hey, don't ever forget it. Don't ever forget what they did. Now, you got people out here, they'll say, forgive and forget. God say, hey, don't forget. Even with this fourth beast, hey, I don't bother these heathen. I don't go after them or nothing like that. But you better believe I ain't never forgot what they did to me and my ancestors. I've never forgotten. And I want vengeance for what was done to my ancestors. And you got other black boule Negroes that'll tell you, forgive and forget. When even the heathen, they don't forgive and forget. They still talking about 9/11 over here in America. And that happened in 2001. Won't you tell them to forgive and forget? Nope. They only tell your black behind that. Only you go for that type of stuff. I remember. I memorialize what was done to my ancestors. The transatlantic slave trade, the sub-Saharan slave trade. I remember the things that Assyria did to our people, the Babylonians, the Syrians, the Egyptians. I remember all of that stuff, the Medes and the Persians, how they ill and treated our ancestors. The Grecians, mercilessly murdering our people, indoctrinating the hell out of them. Then Rome just took it to a new level of evil. I ain't never forgot that stuff, brothers and sisters, ever. So you want to forgive and forget, that's on you. I ain't clearing these people till I see some vengeance. You trying to clear people that hasn't even been judged yet. What is wrong with you? How you going to clear somebody that ain't even been judged yet? But see, that's that Botham Jean spirit right there. That's what y'all Negroes got in you, that Botham Jean stuff. I want vengeance for what happened to my ancestors. And it's going to come by way of the Lord Jesus Christ upon his return. Now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to read Deuteronomy 26. Okay, Deuteronomy 26 and verse 1. Okay, so we're going to be dealing with first fruits and tithes. It says, and it shall be, when thou art come in unto the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, and see how the Lord keep hidden it, that the Lord thy God giveth thee, because he don't want you to ever forget that he the one that gave you this land. It wasn't nothing special about you. You didn't give yourself this land. Because sometimes we forget. Yeah, we went to war and we did this and that. No, the Lord gave you this land. Just like he gave Edom their land, Ammon, Moab their land, he gave Israel this land. Not because you were strong and because you just were such a military mind. No, the Lord gave it to you. So he like, don't ever forget. So it says, when thou art coming to the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance, and possess it and dwellest therein, that thou shalt take of the first of all the fruit of the earth, all of the earth, no, to my in your land, which thou shalt bring of thy land, that the Lord thy God giveth thee, and shalt put it in a basket, and thou shalt go unto the place which the Lord thy God shall choose to place his name there. And we know later that ended up being Jerusalem. Because remember, the Lord didn't want us like the heathen. He didn't want us worshiping in by every green tree, every hill, mountain. He didn't want us worshiping all over the place. He wanted a centralized location for the children of Israel to go in to worship him, because God is the God of order. He don't like chaos. Verse 3, it says, and thou shalt go unto the priest that shall be in those days, meaning the high priest, and say unto him, I profess this day unto the Lord thy God that I am come unto the country which the Lord sware unto our fathers to give us. And the priest shall take the basket out of thine hand, and set it down before the altar of the Lord thy God, and thou shalt speak and say before the Lord thy God, a Syrian ready to perish was my father, and he went down into Egypt and sojourned there with what? A few, and became there a nation, great, mighty, and populous. But who caused this nation to become a nation and to become great and mighty and populous? The Lord did, and I'll never forget it. Verse 6, and the Egyptians evil entreated us and afflicted us. And remember, I believe it's in Psalms. It could be in Proverbs, but I think it's in Psalms where it talked about how the Lord turned Egypt's heart to hate his people. See, but that's a whole nother lesson. Verse 6, and the Egyptians evil entreated us, and what? Afflicted us, and laid upon us hard bondage. And see, today in 2024, Israel, at least over here in America, I can't speak for the rest of y'all because I'm not in those countries where the rest of you Israelites are, but I can at least say over here in America, Israel has forgotten about the affliction and the hard bondage. So guess what? The Lord gonna have to bring it back, because these Israelites over here in America have lost their ever-loving mind. Verse 7, and when we cried unto the Lord God of our fathers, and see, this is what the Lord is trying to get Israel to do. This is what he wants us to do, not just here in America, but all around this earth. This is what he wants. He wants us to cry unto him. And you know how we're going to cry unto the Lord? No, it's not you look up into heaven, Lord, that's what we think. That's foolishness. That's that Christian stuff. No, when they say you crying to the Lord, that means you repent, brothers and sisters, and you change your evil ways, and you return unto the Lord your God and worship and serve him. That is how you're going to cry out unto the Lord your God. That's what he means by that. Not every Israelite going to get a megaphone in their hand and start screaming in the sky. That's not what it's talking about. And I have to say that because there's some brothers and sisters that literally think that they're going to start, screaming in the air. That's not what he's talking about. No, he talking about when I start basically whooping Israel ass, putting this affliction on them, they going to repent, okay? Repent of all the evil they've been doing, and they going to turn with all their heart, soul, and mind. Their children too. And they going to start back serving me and worshiping me. And then what's going to happen? It says, the Lord heard our voice. Okay, when we turn back to him, that's us crying out, and looked on our affliction and our labor and our oppression. So it's just what I was telling y'all in the book of Judges. Israel was doing evil. The Lord raised up, I believe it was the Philistines. I could be wrong, but he raised them up. They started cracking Israel upside their head. And guess what? It said they cried unto the Lord. Okay. And the Lord was so mad that he said, I'm not saving y'all this time. Listen, go and play with them false gods y'all was playing with and let them false gods save y'all. But what did it say Israel did though? They, by on their own, the oppression was so great and heavy. It said they put away all the false gods and all the things that offended the Lord. And they began to serve the Lord that thy God. What was that? That was them crying unto the Lord, them serving their God. That was them crying out when they repented and turned away from their evil. That was how they cried out to the Lord. And what it said in Judges, the Lord was grieved for the misery of Israel. And he raised up a judge and delivered them. Well, it's the same here. Say the Lord heard our voice and looked on our affliction and on our labor and our oppression. And see, Israel not going to cry out until they're oppressed, until they're induced into some unbelievably hard labor. When these heathens jump all over them, see, that's when they're going to cry out. Verse 8. It says, and the Lord brought us forth out of Egypt with a mighty hand. He sure did. He going to bring us out with an even mightier hand out of all these nations. And so much he going to split the seas 7 ways. He letting you know all Israel going home. That's what he telling you by saying that. Okay. He says, and with the outstretched arm, and with great terribleness, and with signs, and with wonders. Even right now, this 4th kingdom, they feeling it. God whooping they behind. Why? Because they got to come together, brothers and sisters. That's why he tearing these nations up. He tearing these heathen nations up because he letting them know, listen, y'all got to come together. You don't, you're going to be destroyed. And they know that. We got to come together. That's why right now they're trying to come up with this little world peace plan. In other words, let's all come together. We got to stop fighting among each other because they're going to do the will of God, whether they like it or not. Verse 9, and it says, and he have brought us into this place and have given us this land, a land that floweth with milk and honey, meaning this a land that produces well. Verse 10, and now behold, I have brought the first fruits of the land which thou, O Lord, hast given me, and thou shalt set it before the Lord thy God, and worship before the Lord thy God. In other words, what was he trying to show Israel with the first fruits, the tithes, and all that? He was trying to show Israel how to exercise gratitude, how to show gratitude. That's all it was. You ought to be thankful. You ought to rejoice for the abundance of all things that God has given you. And remember, that was one of the reasons why we went into captivity, was because we were ungrateful. God had given us all of this stuff, blessed us with everything, and we still complained and was still ungrateful. So the Lord said, you got to get on up out of my land. You got to go. Because ain't nothing like a wife that is ungrateful for everything her husband has done and given her. You got to go. So verse, where was I at? Okay, verse 11, it says, and thou shalt rejoice in every good thing which the Lord thy God hath given unto thee, and unto thine house, thou and the Levite and the stranger that is among you. When thou hast made an end of tithing all the tithes of thine increase the 3rd year, which is the year of tithing, and hast given it unto the Levite, the stranger, the fatherless, these are all Israelites, and the widow, that they may eat within thy gates and be filled. All right. And so the Lord, he loved too, looking out for the poor. He loves that. Verse 13, and those that's less fortunate. 13, then thou shalt say before the Lord thy God, I have brought away the hallowed things of mine house, and also have given them unto the Levite, and unto the stranger, and unto the fatherless, and to the widow, according to all thy commandments which thou hast commanded me. I have not transgressed thy commandments, neither have I forgotten them. Verse 14, I have not eaten thereof in my mourning, neither have I taken away aught thereof for any unclean use, nor given aught thereof for the dead. But I have hearkened to the voice of the Lord my God, and have done according to all that thou hast commanded me. Look down from thy holy habitation. Well, I ain't even going to say it. Let's just keep going. Lord, look down from thy holy habitation from heaven, and bless thy people. What? Israel, not everybody. Bless thy people, Israel, and the land which thou hast given us, and swearest unto our fathers. Not everybody fathers, because remember, there's a lot of men around in the days of Abraham, but it wasn't about all men. It was about Abraham. So it said, you blessed our father, Abraham. See? No, and swearest unto our fathers a land that floweth with milk and honey. 16. This day the Lord thy God hath commanded thee to do these statutes and judgments. Thou shalt therefore what? Keep and do them with all thine heart and with all thine soul. 17. Thou hast avouched the Lord this day to be thy God, and to walk in his ways, and to keep his statutes and his commandments, not of some other people and their gods, but his stuff and his judgments, and to hearken unto what? His voice. And here in 2024, Israel is hearkening unto the beast and not their God. Verse 18. And the Lord have avouched thee this day to be what? His peculiar, meaning special people, as he hath promised thee. That's what he promised the Israelites, not everybody. And that thou shouldest keep all his commandments. Again, talking to the Israelites. He don't care what the nations do. To his people. And to make thee high above all nations which he made. Well, why does Israel get to be special? Didn't God made all the nations? Well, it's telling you, it say the same thing right here. But it say what? To make thee high, the Israelites, high above all nations which you've made. So if you got a problem with that, you got to take that up the Most High. It says, in praise, in name, in honor, and that thou mayest be a holy, meaning a set apart people unto the Lord thy God, as he hath spoken. And that is it for this lesson, brothers and sisters. I hope you guys got some understanding, and I will see you in the next chapter. Shalom.